So this is part 2 of people pleasing. So I got here today and I got out of the car and it started hailing. So I had to wait for 2 hours. I came here specifically an hour and a half out of the way so I could do this hike and also film this video. But absolutely fun doing these videos. I get into like a trance and I totally forget what I'm doing. And yesterday specifically, I was filming a video and after 20 minutes I look up and see that there's a notification saying that the storage is full. And so I only formed 14 minutes of it. So yeah, people pleasing, that's a fun one. So back to what I was talking about yesterday is we people please because we're wanting something from that other person. And usually it's love, affection, or attention. It's usually one of those three things. And like I was saying yesterday, it comes from a childhood trauma. And it comes from the dynamic that we had with our family. And so, like I was saying yesterday in the video, and I started to break down how we actually get out of this. And so I'm going to outlay it in 3 simple steps. And there are 3 sequential steps that you have to follow to basically break out of this. It's something that I did, and it took me a long time because I was trying all different sorts of techniques, all different types of videos, but I was still in relationships where I was always trying to please the other person. And so I was always pleasing them and putting them first and not myself until I found these specific tools, which I freed myself from this cycle and many others from the cycle. It's a hello.
Hello, my friend.
Hola. It's a not a fun cycle to be in because we're at the whim of everything around us. The situations around us, the people around us, whether those people are happy, and if they're not giving us love, we're not happy. And so being able to break free of that cycle allows you to arrive to a new state of freedom so that we're no longer dependent on those specific people for love, and we can give ourselves the love that we're looking for. And so specifically, the first step into breaking out of this cycle is first we have to learn what love actually is. And so a lot of us has never even felt it internally without some sort of external circumstance, without some specific relationship or without some specific event happening, and then we feel a specific way, and then we allow ourselves to give ourselves that love. But the trick is breaking into our own selves to allow ourselves to feel love, to feel that love without needing that external source. Just taking a breath there. I'm up at 3,800 meters here. So it's kind of quite the hike. So yeah, we have to break down into ourselves to feel this love. And so how do we do that? How do we do that where we can feel this love internally, and so that we don't need anything outside of ourselves to feel that love. Because if we can feel that love internally, first and foremost, that's the key to stopping this cycle, because we don't have to look for it from having our partner tell us they love us, or our mom or dad tell us that they love us. We can give ourselves that love. And so, specifically, one technique that I like to use, and this is a basic beginner breathing technique, which is breathing in through the nose for 5 seconds and breathing out of the nose for 8 seconds. And so this you can do for 5 to 10 minutes, and you're going to get into a state where you're extremely calm, all the anxiety's gone, all your thoughts are going to be gone. And when you're in this state, you're going to go into a meditation. And so this can be done laying down or sitting up in a meditation pose. But the key is really going deep with this breath. And so one thing you can add to make it deeper and to feel it on a more profound level is every minute, I want you to just exhale and hold the breath out for as long as possible. And then inhale and hold the breath in as long as possible. I want you to do this every minute. And so 10 minutes after doing this is going to break you down to a this is going to break you down to this is going to break you down into a really nice internal state. Yeah, there's somebody asking me a question, so it's like stuttering. But every minute, you're going to exhale the breath out, hold, and then afterwards you're going to let go. Inhale, hold the breath in, and hold. And then you're going to return to inhaling for 5 seconds, exhaling for 8 seconds. And you're going to continue on that for 10 to 15 minutes. And then you're going to meditate. And so in this state, you're going to start to feel this love come up, this bliss come up. And when we start to be able to arrive to these states without any external circumstance, we're going to realize that we don't have to chase for it externally anymore. Because when I was in all my different relationships, and when something would go wrong in the relationship, I would start to chase after my partner and chase for that love and validation that was seeking so desperately. And so now, I don't have a relationship now, but interactions with people and family members has totally changed, because I am no longer seeking the attention, the love, and the validation of somebody else. And so when you operate from that standpoint, you become free. You really become free. Looks like there's a dead end. I'm gonna have to go around. And so this has totally changed the dynamics of all my relationships. And so you'll notice a lot of relationships that were built on that dynamic of people pleasing that you've had in your life. And this can be in your relationships with friends, and then also partners, and then also family members, is when you're no longer putting out that dynamic of trying to please the other person, then a lot of those relationships start to fail and they start to go away. And so this is something that you'll start to notice. And so it might be alarming at first, because I had a lot of relationships like this start to fail because they were one-sided. And so when that other person starts to feel the pullback, you might get a little bit of that chaser-runner dynamic. And so you pulling back your energy from the specific relationship, you might feel other people start to come after you even more. But then you might also feel it the total opposite. When you start to pull back that energy, those people just start to disappear. Because the relationship was only kept up by you feeding all your energy into it without really receiving anything. And so that is step number one, is allowing ourselves to feel the actual love. And so actually feeling, without any external circumstances, that love within ourselves. So that's the first step. And once we got that step, we can move on to the next step, which is healing our inner child. And so I'm going to be putting out a meditation, I think, in the next week or so. I'm going to be leaving Peru soon to go to my next place, since I can only stay here so long with the visa I have. And so I'm going to put out an inner child meditation that I use to help heal my wounds from this specific aspect. Because there's that inner child dynamic that's still wounded, that's still wanting that love that we might have never received as a child. And so being able to break out of that pattern that we've lived out of for so long from a child, and giving ourselves the love, yes, this is the right way, giving ourselves the love that we never received. And so this goes a level deeper, and this is something that's very crucial in this aspect into healing this, because we have our inner child, which is a part of ourselves. And so we have to be able to connect with our inner child and give our inner child love. And this is why it's so crucial, the first step. Because if we don't know what love feels like, and if we don't know how to cultivate it within ourselves without some external event, we can't give our love to our inner child. And so this is a very, very crucial step that not a lot of people talk about. They're just like, okay, do the inner child healing meditations, and then bada boom, bada bing, you're all good. But you first have to be able to cultivate the love within yourself so that you can even give yourself that love. Because I thought I knew what love was, but that was only because there was somebody telling me that they loved me, or some external event was going my way. You know, I'd felt peace and bliss before, but it was never to this extent. And it was always fleeting. It always come for a moment and then go. But love can be experienced at any moment, and it can only be experienced in the present moment. And so this is something that's super key, super, super key. And so I'm going to be putting out a child healing meditation here in the next couple of weeks. So be on the lookout for that specifically. And so the third and final step into this, into healing specifically from people pleasing, is usually sometimes the hardest, because this is where we actually have to take what we've learned and put it into action. And so when we encounter those forks in the road, where we can choose to either go down the same old road, I can turn behind me and go back and walk the same exact path, and I know where that leads me, or I can take a new road, and that's going to lead me to a new destination. And so whenever we're faced in a situation and an aspect of a relationship that we have with somebody, partner, family member, friend, and we're in that scenario, we're usually, where we'd people please. Something might go wrong, and this is something that was very common for me, was, I would feel, if I did something wrong in a relationship, I always felt like I had to make up for it in some way. And, not in a normal sense where you do something wrong and you apologize, but you do something and you sacrifice yourself for the other person. And so you really go out of your way to just make the person happy because you did, something slightly wrong. Like showing up for a planned appointment and you show up like 15 minutes late. And instead of saying just, I'm sorry, you're like, oh, I'm going to do this thing for you, I'm going to do this thing for you, and whatever it may be. Because there's varying levels to this. And so it's easy to go down the same path to try to make somebody happy and sacrificing yourself, but we have to choose that new path where it's like, I'm choosing myself first. Oh, it's a nice forest here. Let's check this out. Where did this go? Yeah, nowhere. Yeah, it's easy to sacrifice ourselves and put that other person first because that's kind of what we're used to. And so it's easy to go down that path. And so when it comes to those situations where you'd specifically sacrifice yourself for that other person, the key is to take the new path, the one that's uncomfortable. And so a lot of times that can be very uncomfortable for people that are used to always sacrificing themselves for other people and people pleasing. Oh, I'm going to make you happy instead of myself happy. No. And that doesn't mean that we can't make other people happy, but first we have to fill up our cup first before we can fill up somebody else's. And if we don't do that, we're pouring out of our own essence into somebody's essence just to make them happy. And so that's not sustainable. And so first, we have to be able to fill up our own essence and our own self first, so that we can help other people. And if we do that, that's sustainable. Because I love doing things that are nice for other people. And I still do a lot of nice things for other people. But I don't sacrifice myself in order to make that happen. And so when we start to find that love in ourselves and find what that feels like, we're not going to be so reliant on the other person and the other relationship to be like, oh, I have to do this thing for this person because if I do this thing for this person, then they're going to give me the love that I don't have. But if we approach it from an aspect of, I already have the love, I already have the fulfillment, I already have the abundance, I already have the affection within me, it doesn't matter whether the person is happy or not with me. And so you start to learn, and this only happens through doing, because you realize, oh, if I don't do this thing for the person, then they're not going to love me anymore. That's what I used to think. But then as I started to take that new path and realize that if I fill up my own cup first and I don't do that thing for that night, for that person, they still love me. And so that's something you have to realize by doing. But you realize that by actually living these experiences. And so when you do that, you start to go deeper into this. You start to put yourself first before the other person. And this doesn't mean you have to be selfish or whatever. It just means that you're putting yourself first. And then you can start to give that love to other people as you choose. To whoever you may choose to give that love to. And so the essence, to kind of close this video out, so it doesn't become like a 45-minute video, is first, we have to feel that love within ourselves without any external circumstance. And when we can start to learn what that feels like and what that is, and we can sit in it, the longer that we feel it, we don't have to search for it outside of ourselves. And this is why I like to do a daily practice, to tap within and feel that love. And so I realize I can feel it any time that I want. And so love no longer becomes a scarce aspect where we have to search from it from a toxic relationship or sacrifice ourselves or people please others to receive that love validation. So that's the first aspect. And the second aspect is we have to do some inner child healing. And so like I said, I'm going to put out some videos that's really going to help, that helped me, because I tried all different types of therapies, hypnotherapy, literally everything you can think of. And I was dealing with this for years and years and years. And the third aspect is choosing a new path. Going on a new path and testing your newfound confidence because you've found the love within yourself, so we don't have to seek it outside of ourselves. And that's pretty much it. That's all is necessary. And of course, it's much easier said than done, but those are the 3 specific steps. And if you follow those 3 specific steps, you will become free. Free of people pleasing. Because you find that love inside yourself rather than somebody else. Hope everybody has a blessed day.